Awesome. All right. Welcome back to People Like Me with Leah E. This is the People Like Me podcast. And today we are graced with the presence of Jessica Carmichael. And today this is for people who need the full picture. Awesome. Welcome.
Hi, everyone.
I love to give my guests the opportunity to introduce themselves. I think you know yourself best.
Yeah.
Please tell the listeners who you are.
Okay, I'm Jessica Carmichael, and I am an author of this young adult novel. This is my debut novel, and it comes out December 1st. It follows a young girl who goes to Ghana for the first time since her mother's passing. And right out there, she's trying to learn more about who her mother is and discover herself. But she also comes across two boys who are like very different. And it kind of gets her to kind of understand who she is and what she wants for her life. So it's a really fun debut that takes place during Dirty December. Those who know, in Accra, Ghana. And I think you can learn so much about it, about yourself, about dealing with grief, and kind of just like the journey of life that you kind of want to go on.
Mm-hmm. Oh, beautiful. I actually got a chance to finish the book. It took some time. But I fell in love with this book. It was such a gravitational pull. Like every time I opened it, I was like, yes, I get to read the full picture.
Yes.
And I think getting to read Jessica's writing was such an honor because I never really fully read a full book by Jessica.
Yes.
I've known her for a while. And so just like witnessing that, I'm like, y'all, it's here. It's real. Like it was amazing. I have some rapid fire questions for you. Okay. All right. Hardcover or softcover books?
That's tough. I feel like hardcover, if you're never going to open it again. Like if it's just for display, I want the hardcover. But if I want to like love it, read it, pass it around, softcover.
Beautiful. I love that. Yes or no? Do you judge books by their cover?
Absolutely. Absolutely. Like if your cover doesn't eat, like I can't pick it up. Like also if I can't tell if this is a Black author that wrote it, I'm like, I love a good cover. Especially if there's a Black woman on it, hence my cover.
Beautiful. Does that just go for books or for men too? Or
you have to skip that one.
Young adult or new adult?
Young adult.
Romance or coming of age?
Coming of age.
Ooh. Love triangles or miscommunication tropes?
Love triangles.
Friends to lovers or enemies to lovers?
Enemies to lovers.
All right.
It's a little toxic of me, but
Caribbean books or African books?
I can't choose. I can't. That's crazy. I love both. Like, yeah. Actually both. And I think this time in my life, I'm probably leaning towards Caribbean.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
I had to ask Jess, because if you don't know, the listeners, Jessica is Bajan and Ghanaian. So both sides of her.
On both sides.
You know? And so Robin Carter, the main character in the book, is also Bajan and Ghanaian.
She is. And it's not because it's me. It's because I was like, if I'm writing a character, I want it to be as much like representation for me as possible. Like, where else am I going to get a Ghanaian Bajan character if I don't write it, right? Like, so there may be another girl out there with that same very rare mixed identity. So I was like, I just want to put it out there.
Yeah.
Not all my characters will be of this combination, but I was like, I need the first one to be.
Of course. And I think for a lot of people, like reading a book written by your friend, you're probably like, how much of them is the author? Like, reading Robin's character, I was like, okay, this is Jessica. And then some parts I was like, this isn't Jess at all.
Yeah.
And so how much did you want to remove yourself from that character?
I think that like when I was going into it, it was very like, I wanted it, but I didn't know anything other than my life story and my experience. And this was like 5 years ago when I first started writing. So it's easy to use your own life to kind of mirror it. But the feedback I had gotten from one of my mentors in the writing community was like, this doesn't make any sense. And it was then where I kind of realized, like, everybody thinks, oh, my life is a story, my life is a movie. But movies are like follow formulas and books follow formulas. And it has to have a certain cadence to make the story make sense. So when I removed myself and the actual, similar life events and all these kind of stuff, and I added things that made sense to the character's development and the plot development, it becomes more and more less me because it's actually propelling the character to reach an end goal that maybe I did not have at the time that I was inspired to write the story, if that makes sense. So yeah, it became less and less about me as I tried to get this character to kind of accomplish this goal of understanding and coming of age of who she is.
Oh, that is so beautiful. And honestly, I think when reading this book, I was like, okay, so is this Jess or is it not? And I think I feel like that so much because I've known you for so long.
Yeah.
For listeners, I think I've known Jess since 2017. Woo!
How did we meet, Leah?
Well, let's tell them. So there was once upon a time a place called Hamilton, Ontario.
Shout out to Hamilton, the armpit of Ontario.
And I think, so you went to school in Hamilton, Ontario.
I did. I went to McMaster.
And you studied?
Communications and multimedia. So,
yeah, it makes sense.
It does.
And so when I met Jess, super headstrong, super into media, she was also very much into athleticism. Yeah. Like sports was super.
I was a sports journalist for 2 years. So that's kind of where I did my first big like writing consistently. And I think I'm thinking of the medium that we met.
Yeah,
was online.
We met on Twitter.
Yeah.
Yeah, which is actually really cool. Like in this day and age, you can just meet friends online.
Yeah.
And so you having that experience, like how much of did that university experience bleed into the book?
Yeah, that's a really good question. I think like this book is a 18-year-old girl and she's in her first year of university, which is a very, very like what's the word I'm looking for?
Like a challenging time.
It's I feel like the first year of university is a monumental moment of your life, and the young adult genre is very interesting right now because a lot of books, young adult is typically 13 to 18, and a lot of people think that the young adult experience just ends when you're done high school, and so there's this gap where there's not a lot of college age stories for kids in college, and they either are consuming high school media or like adult romance and stuff like that. And I felt like even though you're in the first year of university, you're 18. Like a week ago you were in high school.
Yeah.
So I was like, I don't really feel like this was like kind of like new adult or even adult fiction, even though she's technically 18. And I think that first year is very, very monumental. So at first, she was in high school and she was trying to figure out what she wanted to do for university. But I was like, no, like I wanted to be in university. I think that's like when the first time, especially when you go away, that's the first time that you have like your chance to kind of think about your life without parental influence or like guidance counselors. Like, what is it that I actually want to do? And so that's why I decided to make her 18, but in the first year of in university. And my experience in university was like amazing. I had like the best university experience ever. So I just felt like that is a really good turning point of your life. And while you grow, while you grow a lot in high school, I feel like university has like 10 times more of the impact.
I 100% agree. And just knowing that you had that experience and I got to experience a little bit of it on the weekends.
Yeah.
It was so transformative. And I think what you said was so important about self-discovery during that time when you're 18 years old. You just don't know who you are yet. And even in romance, and especially for Black girls in romance, like you really don't get that experience till you're about like 18 sometimes. Yeah. And so was that close to the experience you had with Robin?
Funny enough, no. I think that the experience that I had with that was most likely to Robin's was like after university for me, actually. But for me, I felt like I feel like I'm a little bit of a late bloomer, so I kind of wanted it to be in high school because, like you said, does for a lot of Black women, it is in university where they do have those first experiences. I really can't tell you what I was doing in university, why I didn't have those experiences. I just feel like I was really locked in. I was a sports journalist. I was like the president of my football team. I was just always doing something, and there just wasn't a lot of choices, in my opinion. So but I didn't experience that, but I know a lot of girls do.
Absolutely. And just like bouncing off of that idea, I was wondering, do you think that the Black girls in Toronto, Robin Carter's from Toronto.
Yes.
Do you think that the Black girls in Toronto need to leave Toronto to find love?
Personal experience says yes, but I do think that there is it's a numbers game. There's a lot of people in Toronto and there's a lot of love, like of all kinds in Toronto. So I just think that like it's a little bit of luck, it's a little bit of circumstance, a little bit of opportunity meets, readiness. So I don't think anyone has to leave, but I do think when you leave, you're kind of opening yourself up to something new. And moving to, I'm based in Edmonton right now, was a whole different experience dating for me. And I think it can just show you a different side of something sometimes, but it's not to say that it's better or it's amazing. It's just different.
I like that. Like seeking out different opportunities would always bring you a different vibe.
You can learn that, hey, I don't like it here. I prefer the scene of Toronto. You know what I mean? You learn something from doing something different. So that's kind of like what I encourage always.
I love that. I think for a lot of listeners as well, you're such a young person in this space, in my opinion.
Yeah.
You are 28 years old. First book out. And so a lot of people don't know how to get started with becoming an author.
Yeah.
What were the steps that you had to take from day one, from 4 years ago to now? Like, how did you get to a published book?
So the first thing you have to do is write. I know people don't want to hear that, but a lot of people, like one person has come to me with like an unfinished book for advice. I was like, I can't help you until this book is done. And nobody wants to hear that. And it's tough. And the truth of the matter is the first draft is not going to be the first, like the finished product. It takes a lot of drafts. Like I can't tell you even how many drafts of this book I've written because it has been so many. But the first thing you do is write. And then the next thing I suggest and what I did is find community. Find writing community that can push you, because you only know so much. So a lot of the times we feel like as readers, we know how books go. We know what you're supposed to add, but you don't always know really what goes behind the scenes of what makes the movie magic, all that kind of stuff. So the way I did it is I just looked for opportunities. So I actually went through I forget what the program was called, but it's called Fold, and they had a pitch competition. So you pitch your story idea, and then you get set up with a Black Canadian, or it was a diverse Canadian in the publishing industry, and they look over your book for you and give you advice, right? So I got matched with this agent, and she was amazing, and she looked over my story and pointed out all the flaws. Initially, the love triangle, I had 2 guys. One was very obviously the one, and one was obviously not the one. And in her head, she was like, why would she even entertain this guy? And I was like, it's a good question, right? Yeah. So she really got me to think of things in a holistic way, again, helping me remove myself from the story. And she encouraged me to find writing community. So that was the second thing. So she was like, you need peers that are also writing. I was like, well, Leah's not writing anything. Leah's not writing. Who am I going to find these peers? So I went online, right? And I just started engaging with people. And so commenting oh my God, searching up hashtag writer Twitter, whatever, searching up people's stories. Oh my God, this looks so cool. Offering to read for people, just creating community and just showing up for people was how I kind of got myself more and more education about the publishing industry. And I feel like it's one of those things where everything is secret, but everything's not a secret. You can read a million Reddit threads about how to get into publishing and all of this, but it's truly who you know and your network that can really help elevate you and give you the insight of what you need to do. So after I revised it, after the feedback I got from the pitch competition, I started querying, and querying is reaching out for agents and trying to get an agent who will then sell your book to a traditional publisher. So most books that you see that in the bookstore or whatever, they are traditionally published, and the agents are that middle ground between you and the publisher. So most big publishers don't take unsolicited
free
manuscripts. They're not just going to read anyone's manuscript just because you send it to them. It needs to come from an agent that puts it on submission. And then so basically your book going on submission is that they send it out to all the publishers, and the editors that are interested will read it and either offer you or pass on you, right? So the querying process actually took me quite a bit of time. I think maybe 1.5 years.
Oh, so that's probably the longest part of the whole entire process.
And it's really hard because it's a rejection after rejection after rejection. Ooh. And as a Black author, I think when I started writing, it was it was 2020, right? So it was a big, George Floyd, all this stuff happened. So it's, we're going to publish Black stories. We're going to help you guys. So there's all these initiatives. DEI, very big focus. And then it just kept dwindling and dwindling and dwindling. And the interest just wasn't there. And I always knew that I'm this story, I know that there's nothing like this. I know that there's an audience for this because I exist. And if I exist, I'm not so unique. There's people who have similar, interests and as me, or similar experiences as me, and even though they don't have my exact same life story, they know what I've been through, or they have similar interests. So I just kept going and pushing for it, and then I did more pitch competitions. That's basically on Twitter. They have agents that be they're going to be looking for tweets of maybe whatever, I forget how many characters it used to be.
140.
Yeah, but you put your book's description in 140 characters, and agents in the hashtag of the contest, and agents go through and like it, and if they like it, you can submit to them. So I did that, and an agent liked my tweet. I submitted to her. She then offered me representation. So I was like, okay, I'm on to something. So I think that was when I moved to Edmonton. So that was 2023. I got representation. She gave me feedback to then go and revise. She gave me feedback to go and revise my book, and again, really great insight that as a writer, you're just not going to catch all the time. So little things I didn't have enough Ghanaian culture in the book. She's like, it's a book about Ghana. They're going to Ghana, but where's the food? And I was like, oh, I don't want to make it so like stereotypical. She's like, there's a fine line. You can do, bring culture in, but not make it stereotypical. So I added that, added more connections, whatever. We do that. We make all the revisions. And it took me a while. And I think the biggest barrier is I had moved to a new city. I had a breakup. Yeah. So like I had a lot of stuff going. And when you're writing like a romance based, story and you're breaking up, it's like, none of this is real anymore. None of this exists. You feel really demotivated. And being on my own for the first time was really tough. And I realized like, maybe I can't do this alone. And I was having a hard time focusing. So I went and I got diagnosed through Frida for ADHD, and I was diagnosed with ADHD, and then I got a medication, and I started going on Vyvanse, and I was locked in. Like I can't explain how locked in. I would go to work, finish work, rest, and at 10 p.m. every night I would write.
Wow.
And I would write a chapter every single day until I finished. And this was like after like brainstorming and trying to get my book to the state of where it is right now. But I locked in and then I just finished and I submitted it. And she was like, yeah, it's ready to go on submission. I was like, whoa, right? So we went on submission.
Shout out to ADHD medication.
Shout out to Vyvanse. It held me down.
We love you.
But we went on submission, and I think that was probably the hardest process because it's one thing to get rejected from agents, but getting rejected from editors that had no actual feedback.
It was just a blunt.
Not even like they had feedback, but not on my writing. And then you realize like how subjective this industry is, if that makes sense. Oh, we don't know where it sits in the market. Oh, we like this, but I wasn't a big fan. So you're getting like all these different editors telling you all these different things. So I'm sitting there with my agent. I'm like, so what do we do? What do I change? Because nobody's giving me advice. It's like, oh, we really enjoy her writing. Her storytelling is beautiful, but it's a no for us. And then you begin to realize, okay, this is an industry just like anything else.
Yeah. And I'm going to even ask for you, because as a Black young author who's a woman, what is the space like for Black authors right now in romance? I find that niche so specific.
Yeah, it's very niche. And it's really, if you're doing something different, it's very hard for people to understand.
Yeah.
So a big thing that the writing industry uses is comps. So they ask you, what is this book like? So they can put it in the market. So that's what they mean. Where does it sit in the bookstore? Where do you put it next to if it was on a display, right?
Oh, wow.
If I'm saying, oh, I like Bolu Babalola, for example.
Yeah.
I would say, yeah, well, if you like Bolu Babalola, you will like Jessica Carmichael because it has similar themes, right? But the thing about Bolu, which is interesting, she's in the UK. And the UK has their own Black British scene.
Okay.
The American has their own Black American scene. Canada does not have its own Black Canadian publishing scene.
Wow.
And if it does, like a lot of Black Canadian authors have US publishers or UK publishers. There's not really a big scene. So when you come and you're like, oh, my main character is Canadian, but she goes to Ghana and she's also Bayesian, they're like, who is this book for?
They don't get it.
Right? They don't understand. But I'm like, it's not for a Canadian Bayesian thing. It's for a girl who is a member of the diaspora, which is everywhere around the world. It's like for a girl that is in Ghana, which is, you know what I mean? It's a girl but it's hard to kind of market that if you are thinking in a traditional sense.
Right.
So I experienced a lot of rejection and slow rejection.
You so close.
It's very slow. Like you're just waiting for people to respond. And at the time, my agent at the time was going through like personal issues. So she wasn't very supportive. Right. And because, like I said, she's the only person that connected to the industry. If this person is not going up to bat for you,
it doesn't give you
don't feel encouraged, right? And at the time I had a lot of friends in the industry, and I could see what their agents were doing. I mean, one of my friends, she had a book that was a wedding. It's actually out right now, Till Death by Busayo Matuloko. Go get it. Her agent, for example, kind of sent out invitations, like wedding invitations to all the editors, right?
That's such a good idea.
Before even they sent it, like it's like save the date, it's coming, right? Building that hype, right? So you need your agent to be your champion. Like they need to push your book. Like if they don't get this book, you are missing out, right? And I just didn't feel like I was getting that support. So I got to a point in 2024 in the summer, I was like, I don't feel the support and I don't have a direction of what I'm supposed to do because I'm not getting any clear feedback that you need to change the voice. You need to be more clear here. Everybody's was distant. I even got one feedback that was like so far aligned from my book. I was like, did she even read it? Like, it's like, it was, you know what I mean? And like, that's the thing about the industry. A lot of the times it's just subjective. I'm a very mood reader. Sometimes I pick up a book that everybody loves. I'm like, don't like it, put it down. And that's kind of what's going on with the marketing and all that stuff. Also, like what's gonna sell, what do we know that has numbers, there's data, there's algorithms, all this stuff, right? And so I felt like I wasn't getting the support I needed. So I decided to make the really hard decision that a lot of people don't do, to leave my agent.
Wow.
And a lot of people, they'll tell you, like, it's not my first book that sold, it's not my second book that sold, it's my fourth book that sold, like, just keep writing.
Wow.
Or some people self-publish. So Kennedy Ryan, who's one of the biggest authors of our generation in terms of romance, Black romance, she self-published for years before she got her start.
And now she's getting,
and she's like a very big
off.
thing. So I was like, I'm the kind of person in life where I'm like, okay, I can either wait for change or I can make it. And I'm just not someone
that wants to wait. If you know Jess, patience may not be a virtue of hers, but
we're working on it.
We're working there.
But in times like this, I think I'm very proud of that trait of mine.
Yeah.
Because I had moved to a city where I'm now one of probably few Black creatives out there, right? In a city like Toronto, you're one of many, right? So opportunities become a little bit easier. So I decided to apply for a grant at the Edmonton Arts Council, and it was for $25,000, and I submitted my grant application and I got it. So it helped me to get a editor, like a Simon and Schuster editor. So she was able to edit my book at a very high level. I was able to get an audiobook narrator and a producer, a cover artist of my favorite books. Like all this stuff was able to help me not only put my book out, but at a high level. And through my own publishing company, Hibiscus Press, which is like, I decided I was like, I want to publish these coming of age stories from Black people in the diaspora, because I just didn't see it. I see Black American stories, I see Black British stories, but I don't see the diaspora, where these young girls that are coming from Ghana or with immigrant parents, where it's like this very unique experience that sometimes we get put into groups of everybody else. You see a lot of it for Asian characters, a lot of stories like Exo Kitty, for example.
Oh yeah,
there's a lot of Desi stories, for example. They go back, but it's not really common with African. Like, there's no stories where people go back to Africa. I'd gone back to Ghana for the first time in 2019, and it was like a life-changing experience. And I was like, I want to put it all together. So I kind of say it's like the summer I turned pretty, but instead of going to the cottage, you're going back home for
awesome. Oh, beautiful.
So that is a long-winded way of saying like how I went about it. But if you were to do it traditionally and you go through an agent, they put you on submission, and then you get a book deal, and then you go from there. So,
beautiful. 4 steps in like 4 seconds, but also you encapsulated the entire process, which took 4 or 5 years.
Yeah. And many revisions later, up until like 2 weeks ago.
That's amazing. And I think I kind of want to shift gears, because you touched on like the cultural aspects of this. Robin Carter is somebody who is Bajan Ghanaian. She doesn't feel Ghanaian enough, which I thought was so interesting. I'm someone who, I understand culture, like whatever your parents are, like that's who you are. But some people don't feel that unless they're in the country or unless they're immersed in the culture. How do you feel being Bajan and Ghanaian, and how did that influence your book?
You know, it's so funny that I didn't want to write her that she didn't feel Ghanaian enough. So I think it's really interesting that you took it like that. Yeah. I think there's a part of the book that it kind of comes up in conversation, but it's because someone projected it to her.
Yes.
And it was something that I was really cautious about, and I actually was speaking to my agent about at the time, because I was like, how do I write? I was reading a lot of these coming of age stories of girls going back to India or Tokyo or whatever, and it was like they've never tried this food before, they never knew this thing and all this stuff, right? So I was like, yes, she doesn't have her connection to her birth mom, but how do I make her still feel connected and not so withdrawn? So the way that I did that is by introducing her best friend and her best friend's family.
Yes.
And they really bring her into the fold. So they bring her to the house, the hall parties. They bring her mom would make her food. So I didn't want it to be completely disconnected, but that conversation does come up because someone projects that to her. So I don't know if I did a good job at it. Maybe I didn't, but that was kind of my
angle
of looking at it, where it's like she's never going to be 100% Kenyan.
Right.
That's just the reality. Like, if you were of 2 cultures, you are half and half. I actually grew up majority even though my mom passed away, with my Ghanaian side.
Right.
Because I was always like in the community, right? But even when you're in the community, they're othering you because you are not 100% and I don't speak the language, right? So I feel very connected to my Ghanaian culture, but there's also like
this one aspect.
There's always still going to be a little bit that you're still half, right?
Yeah.
Like, it's always funny when people that I grew up with find out or remember that I'm from Barbados too, because they're like, huh? Like, your dad's not Ghanaian. And I'm like, no, he's not.
Your last name is Carmichael.
They're like, I just thought. So like, I think that it's interesting because like, I feel I don't have that experience. Yeah. I never felt like, I've always felt welcome. Like going to Ghana was like the most welcome experience for me. Like people were very like, yeah, you're one of us, whatever. And even in Barbados, you're actually, you are the descendant of Africa, most likely from a slave that was brought from Ghana, right? So I've always felt those ties. So I never completely felt disconnected, but I do always feel like there's a limit, if not that makes sense. But I don't think it's a bad thing. I just think that's just half of me, and there's another amazing half of me as well.
Oh, I love that. I love that. And the way that you utilize Chelsea's character in that book.
Yeah. Her best friend.
Chelsea is Robin's best friend. She's Ghanaian, and she kind of explains to Robin, so this is why we have paintings on the floor. This is why. And the power that they hold together. I was reading this as, yes, this is a romance novel about two men that Robin is fighting between, but I also found that there was so much love between the women characters, and between Chelsea and Robin, it felt like they were kind of in love too. Like, I was
when
like,
they fight, right? So no spoilers, but
right.
I would say, come for the men, stay for the women. Stay for Chelsea, stay for her cousin Alma, and stay for her grandma Lily. Like those women, they're like, they mean so much to me, and I have like a really incredible woman in my life. Some are in the room right now, but the relationships that you get, you're right, like it's love. And I think that one of the best, really good advice I got from my friend Deborah was like, your friends are like the practice ground for relationships. How you treat them, how you show up for them. If you're not doing it well there, you're not gonna be able to do it in a relationship, right? So like sometimes if I catch myself doing a little bit too much, I'm like, okay, you know, if you're gonna cook for a man, you're gonna do all this, you should be able to have your friends over and cook dinner for them. Right. So I really, really believe in like the power of friendship and how it can like impact you and how it's impacted me. So I really wanted to show up in her family relationships and her best friend, like Chelsea, and her cousin and her grandma as well. Oh,
it is so apparent in this whole book how much Chelsea means to Robin.
Yeah.
I hope to see more of Chelsea soon. But one little thing, we're shifting. The men. Let's best for last.
Get into it.
We have Osei, we have Kelvin.
Yeah.
They're so completely different.
Yeah.
But they're strangely both really perfect for Robin. Or so we think, depending on the listener, depending on the reader.
Yes.
How do you feel about Kelvin and Osei? Are they your sons? Like,
honestly, like I said, like when I got that advice that like one of them could not be so horrible, I started studying love triangles in media.
Wow.
I looked at Hunger Games. I went and I looked at Twilight, Vampire Diaries. Like, how did they do it? How did they get these two teams to be so strong? Like, you meet a Team Jacob girl and she's like down, like Team Jacob. She doesn't flinch.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Conrad and Jeremiah. You meet a Team Conrad, they're very like strong about that. They don't go to the other side, and I've always felt that way about like my ships too, right? So I was like, how do I make this person, like, how do you speak to the different sides of people? And so that is kind of what I kind of channeled in like making them. And so I love them because they speak to two different sides of Robin's character, right? And I think that in anything, if you go to one extreme, like it can be unhealthy, right?
Yeah.
So it's kind of about finding that balance. And while I do think like they're both good for her in different ways, the whole thing that's in my head is like, he's amazing, but he's just not him.
And we don't know who him is, because Jessica's not going to give up her tea on who she likes. But
gotta read it to find out.
I'll tell you right now whose team I'm on. That is so cool. And I think with the whole romance aspect, you mentioned Jenny Han, you mentioned Bolu, Tia Williams.
Yes.
The romance girls, I find are booed up. They're loved. They're in relationships. And I'm wondering what the correlation is. How is it that romance writers can find love in real life? Do you find that that's a correlation, or?
I don't know. I feel like obviously when I started, I was not in something, not in something. So I do think that like, I don't think it's a correlation. I feel like to understand like how to write, you know what? I will say I've read romance books where I'm like, oh, this lady needs to go see the lady. Because I really do think like your perspective of what you think love is and what healthy love looks like will come out as you write. Like it just will, because you only know what you know, right? So
yes.
And I do think my story has evolved as I've become more self-aware of my own toxic traits, what I needed to work on, what I actually need in my life, what a good partner looks like, it got better and stronger, right? So the people that kind of, after I went to Ghana in December and I had my experience, I was like, oh, I gotta write about this. Those characters, the reason that the story wasn't good is because those people were not good for me, if that makes sense, right?
Yes.
So the moment I removed that and I really started looking at my, my family history and my dynamics and the way I grew up and why I want what I want and all those kind of things, and understood my own desires and love a bit more, I think my writing became better. I don't think that means it's because I'm in a relationship. I think it's because I did the work and I went to sit down with a lady and we broke it down and we understood what I needed, right? That's when I think the story comes better. And I think that the coincidence is that you find the love because you're just doing so much work, because you're writing, but you're also these characters' therapists, right? Like you're trying to get them on this journey and figure out these things, and like, girl, like, yeah, you're gonna act out here, but what are you learning from this, right? So you can't help but become more self-aware as you kind of are developing these characters and wanting them to learn the essence at the end of the day. Like, a lot of people have told me that Robin has pissed them off. A lot of people have told me that Robin upset them. A lot of people have told me that they were yelling at her. But they also told me that they were happy how it ended. They were happy with her growth. They were happy with how she did. And I knew that was going to happen. I mean, there's a reason that The Summer I Turned Pretty is as big as it is.
Right.
People,
they latch onto this frustrating character. I mean?
Because a lot of times we see ourselves in it.
Yeah.
And the biggest thing to remember is, like, these are 18-year-olds.
Yeah, they're kids. They're
what did you know at 18?
Nothing.
You make a lot of dumb decisions, right? So I'm writing the story in a from this perspective, and as an adult, like, I always say, like, when you're gonna enter the young adult space, you're gonna read young adult books, you kind of have to let some of these ideas of, like, what's right and wrong go, because this is now a child's brain. Yeah, they're 18 and an adult, but they're still kids and they're still trying to figure it out, and everything makes so much sense to you at 18, but you don't know enough to know better, right? So a lot of times, like, I'll give a little bit, like, so she gets to Ghana, the book starts, she's in Ghana, she's anxious, she's nervous, right?
Yes.
So she's supposed to be getting picked up by her cousin. It's the only person she knows in Ghana. The cousin's like, she can't come. I'm sending someone to come get you. So that interaction with that person doesn't go so well, because she's really anxious and she's triggered by the fact that this person is living a life that she's not allowed to live. I'll leave it at that, right?
Yes.
But if you understand the dynamic and the reason why she is the way she is, even though sometimes it's like, girl, it's too much. But this is how she was raised, and the dynamic that she was in that impacts the way she expresses emotions, expresses her feelings, right? It's not a healthy way because of how she grew up, right? So
yeah,
you kind of have to, again, turn that little therapist brain on.
Right.
Give her grace.
Turn off the TikTok therapy and tap into this book, because it really does speak to, like, the 18-year-old mind.
Yeah.
And it talks about family dynamics so well. Oh my goodness. I was like, I know why Robin's making these choices.
Yeah.
Because of X, Y, and Z.
Exactly.
The family choices that you made, and I don't even know how, choices is an interesting word. The dynamics that you decided to play on were just so in-depth. I'm wondering what made you go that deep. I don't think I know, like, a story about an 18-year-old girl where X, Y, and Z is happening. Like, it was, like, almost gut-wrenching to read sometimes. I felt like, oh my goodness, the relationship she has with one of her parents. Like, I'm like, anxiety.
The live parent. I mean, her mom's dead.
Right.
But I think it's so funny. I don't think I set out wanting to do that.
Yeah.
It's because it set out actually being, like, a romance, right?
Yeah.
But the more and more I've gotten older and I've gone to therapy and I understand why people make the decisions that they make, more and more times, more like it's because of your family dynamic. It's because of how you grew up. It's because of the attachment style that you developed with your child, with your parent. So it became very essential to me that I have to paint the full picture,
right,
so that people understand why she is the way that she is, right, and why it impacts you the way that you impacts you. I think that the conversations that she had, the frustration that she had with her, like, understanding her father, because her father is not talking about who her mom is. She doesn't really say much. She doesn't really give much. And she just has this idealized version of her mom, right? So she's going in only knowing half of the story. And so it really can be challenging to navigate that. Navigating family that you haven't met, and then you meet them, they're so nice, and it's all this stuff, right? So I thought that I really just wanted to give as much information as possible to the readers, so that not like I'm like, oh, go self-reflect, but in a sense, it's like, okay, understand how dynamics work.
When I was reading this, I was like, wow, because the choices that you made with regards to the underlying but also very overlying theme of grief
Yeah.
in the book, where similar to Robin, when I'm reading this, I don't know anything about Nana.
Yeah.
And I'm like, what's going on? I don't have the capacity, or I don't have the understanding. As the book goes on, you start to feel Robin's grief more.
Yeah.
And Robin feels it too.
Yeah.
And I thought that was such a intentional and important aspect.
Yeah.
And like, what does this mean to you? Like the grief aspect of it all, reflecting your own life as well.
Yeah.
In the book, like how do you manage that? Like how?
Yeah, like I think like obviously my mom passed away when I was young too. So when you lose someone as a child, you don't really know you've lost somebody, if that makes sense. I don't have any recollection. I don't have any like memories. Like you don't really know that someone is gone until you kind of get to that point of your life, maybe where, and it can be at different stages for different people. But that you're just like, oh, someone, I don't know this person, right? Or someone is missing, right? So when I was thinking about Robin, I was like, it's becoming more apparent to her as she's in this environment where everybody knows her but you, right? You're discovering more, you're learning more, you're seeing other sides of her family and things like that. So I wanted it to kind of, I think a lot of people say that grief is like, it's like in a jar. Sometimes the jar just gets bigger. So like the grief is always going to be there, but the jar kind of changes as you develop. And I think for a lot of people, it's like it starts off being like the small jar to the big jar, but for Robin it was like the opposite, right? Where the jar was big her whole life and it goes to small as she learned more about her mom. So I just wanted to kind of show like that other experience for kids that don't really know until you realize like, oh, this is like a whole side of me, right? Really process and lock in and kind of figure that out as she's gotten older, right? Because she didn't really have that chance to explore that. So yeah, that's kind of why I did it like that.
Oh, well, you did such a beautiful job.
Thank you.
Honestly, I just like I felt the love that she has for her mom in this book, and so it's so apparent. And I think that folks are gonna be able to relate to this as well. Yeah. Yeah. Take your water. Take that moment. All right. But Jess, thank you so much for like sharing your book. Like I feel like I said this in this little Substack piece that I wrote, and I was like, I think I'm reading things about Jess that I just never knew. And I'm like, wait, there's so much laid out here. I think writing a book is so vulnerable.
Yeah, it really is.
I'm like, how did some people are private. I don't know. So how do you put it out there?
I mean, I always say like, it's definitely inspired by my life, but it's not my life. Like if my situation turned out like this, it'd be so different. My life would be so different. So I just, again, put out what I want to put out, and the rest is up to public opinion. And like I realized, like I knew it was very vulnerable. I knew that. And as people read it, obviously the people in my life are always like, because it is obviously there's a lot of similarities in it, but like I always say, like I feel like I've always written. Whenever I was writing, like I remember being a child going away on summer vacation, and my church at the time, we would go to the States to watch soccer games, because we were all in like a soccer league, and we would go shopping in Buffalo, and like all the aunties would come and they would shop in Buffalo, and then they'd be taking too long to shop in Buffalo, and then we would be like driving away with the bus and like they're running after them, whatever. And it was funny to me, and I remember like, going back to school and like the assignment was like, what did you do this summer? And I would retell the story of like my experience. And so I always knew, like I always say, like I feel like God makes the stories and I just write it down, if that makes sense. Like I don't think that I always say fantasy is so hard. Like I can't conceptualize a world. I can't conceptualize like a whole new universe. I do really well working off of reality, right? So I like to look around and see like what am I inspired by, and then I write from there. So like that to me is just like the best way that I know how to do it. So that's kind of why the stories, it feels very self-inserted. And I don't think a lot of authors self-insert in some ways with fiction, especially with your first book, because it's like the story on your heart. Like whatever's the first story kind of just comes out of you. But I just found like, I knew there was like this experience that I had gone through when I went to Ghana. It was funny, it was interesting. There's something here, right? But I had to craft it a bit more to make it like a full story, where then there's lessons and there's a, without being so like overt, like learn this lesson. But you know, I just decided like I was like, I just feel like my experience makes it thing. But yeah, it is very vulnerable, and like I think I had to like train myself really early on to be like, this is a story. It's not you.
This is not. Yeah.
So critique, feedback. It's not about you.
Yeah.
It's because this is not my life.
Right.
This is not my experience. This is not my thing. Like it's just not. It's just inspired by it because that's just my jumping point. If that makes sense.
Yeah. And I think in any creative realm, what you said was so beautiful. Like when you put something out there, I don't think it's yours anymore.
Yeah.
Similar to the way if you believe in God, like the way God creates us, like it's
free will.
It's, you know, like this is your baby, but it's also, it's time for you to grow up, and other people get to hold it now, and they get to hold the full picture and interpret it different ways. And, you know, there's just this detachment from it. And so when you were finishing up this book, I wanted to know, what was your thought process? Were you like, thank God it's done? Or were you kind of like, oh shit, it's done? Like, I feel nervous about it. Like,
I think I was excited. I've got to the point where there's a point when you're writing, you don't know if it's good.
Really?
Like for me anyways, when you start, you're like, I don't know if it's good.
Wow.
But when I finished like the first draft, I was kind of like, what, this exists? I was like, oh.
Yeah.
This is good.
Yeah. You knew.
And that was like the first time that I experienced that. Like every other time I was like, someone else has to read it. I need that validation. I got to that point, I was like, oh, like I did it. You know what I mean? So I was like, I need people to read this. Like I need people to read this. And so I knew exactly like who I wanted to reach out to, what kind of people, like the audience that would speak to this. Like I know the kind of reader that this belongs to. And I was like, I just want to flood basically the streets, if that makes sense, and get as many people to read this as early as possible and create as much buzz. Because I'm just one person doing this, right? If I had a traditional publisher, they'd have a marketing team, they have a budget, they're putting things out there, right? I was very limited. After I spent all the money on making the book, I didn't have any money to market it, right? But I knew that if I could get it in the hands of like the right people, it could make a little bit of a ripple for as one person, right? So that's what I felt more than anything. I was just like, I want people to read this, not because I'm like I want to be popular or whatever, but I was like, I think people are gonna like want to read this. Like I think it's 100%. Gonna be enjoyable. Like there's so many of these young adult stories that people are consuming, but Black girls are just not in the center. And then when Forever came out,
Forever,
and we had a Black girl at the center for like the first time in maybe 10-15 years,
dark-skinned Black girl.
I was like, people are craving this so much. So I was just like, I just want the kids to read it. I remember when I shared the cover, my friend who's a teacher, she showed her students and she sent me the video and they were like, this is so cool, miss. I want to read it. Like, and like, and hearing that in a Toronto accent. Like I did it. Like this is the story for them. Like this is not about grown up Jessica. This is about childhood Jessica, who was reading about blonde cheerleaders and kids that went to summer camp and bar mitzvahs. Like at one point I was ready to have a bar mitzvah. What are you talking about? Because of when I went to school and like the environment that I was in. And I never had this experience where, you know, and obviously Africa as a whole has become so much more popular and it's been put on the map and people are understanding the culture and like, and the year of return really impacted that, right? In Ghana in 2019. So I know that there are kids now that are asking their parents, can we go to Ghana? Growing up, I remember a friend went to Ghana and she came back. She was like, it was awful, guys. Like, don't go. And like, it, you know, so we all have this like perception.
There's this thing where it's like, are you Guyanese or Ghanaian?
Oh,
like
big all the time growing up. People would always ask me if I'm Guyanese, right? So it just, the culture has shifted so much. And I was like, we need media to reflect that.
Yes.
And I know a lot of people hate pop culture references in books and they don't like contemporary fiction, but I was like, this is history. People don't like right now you don't see it, but in 10 years, this book marks this year of life. And this book marks the impact of the culture and Africa's on the rise and all that kind of stuff. So I was like, I want to be able to conceptualize this, release it, and then keep going.
It's gonna go. And that's exactly what you're doing.
Yeah.
I literally, like yourself, many people can read this book, see what you're doing, and see a vision for the full picture that is so far ahead of its time. It's vast. I mean, there are so many words I could say, but it's just, I'm going to let you kind of say, where do you see the full picture going after December's release?
I want it to be in as many hands as like I want as many people to read as possible. Though I want it to be in the libraries. I want it I want it to be in the schools. Even though one of my teacher friends was like, "Yeah, this book would be banned right now in Alberta," and I was like, "What the heck?" She's like, "Yeah." So that's a whole separate topic. But I want it to be the book that could sneak to school because it's banned. I want as many kids as possible to read the story and feel just inspired by it, like honestly truly inspired by it, not to just follow their dreams, but that hey, maybe I can write a story like this too. There isn't a lot of like Canadian teenage fiction, but they're like Degrassi has such a big impact on the world. We don't have that as much anymore. Isn't Family Channel gone? Like, we are losing the receipts. We're losing we are losing Canadian young adult media. Like there's no space. They don't even have like justice anymore, like to shop, right? So I want young kids to kind of feel inspired and be like, okay, I can do this too. But I'd love for it to be on the big screen because that is how you reach the youth. It truly is like
they're on the screens, they're on the phones.
Kids read, but if that clip of the scene when they're fighting goes viral on TikTok, they will watch.
Exactly.
And then they'll pick up the book, right? So I would love for my book to be adapted. But who knows, right? Like honestly, I'm just the fact that it's here and like it's literally in front of me is more than enough because I just did it by myself. And a lot of people don't even know that.
Yes.
I keep my business of Hibiscus Press and myself very separate. And there's a part in this journey where I will, talk about it and show how I kind of got there more publicly online. But I kind of realized like there's obviously a negative connotation with self-publishing because people are like, who can vet that this is good? Right. They obviously don't know like what I put to get an editor to do it, like the kind of editor that I had, and I had to get grant funding and all this stuff. They don't know that, right? So I was like, I want to come off as professionally as possible.
No, I was gonna say, Jessica, you have done something that not many people have done before. It's absolutely such an honor to witness you in the inception of it all.
Thank you.
I wanted to give you the moment to let listeners know where they can find you on socials and how they can get their hands on the full picture.
Yes, you can follow me on Instagram and TikTok at J Carmichael, JAAYCARMICHAEL, kind of long. But I am online, very active on TikTok, on Instagram, and you can buy it anywhere. Anywhere you buy books, you can get it. You can listen to it on audio. You can read it physically, or you can get it in EPUB, and it's available for pre-order now, but December 1st, it's available in stores and online and things like that. You can pre-order it now.
Awesome. So beautiful. Jessica, once again, thank you so much for coming on to People Like Me. And this was for people who need the full picture. Friends, you're on Apple Music, Spotify, iHeartRadio, all of it at People Like Me Pod. And that was this episode.
Thank you.
Thank you. Cheers. That's it.